Welcome back to another episode of the MO-Wiff 3 Up, 3 Down podcast. I'm your host Cam Smith. I am joined by my co-host Adam North. Adam, you're back, man. How are you doing?
Good. Finally happy to be back, and I've missed too much. I'm ready to talk.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you back with me. Episode 16 today. Adam, regular season's done. We are a couple days away from playoffs starting. It's going to be a big one. So we're going to talk. Our first two segments today are all going to be about our divisional playoff bracket preview. So we'll start with the Ucc STL division for segment 1. Then we'll go to the Feather Shark preview. And then we're going to end with the little all-star talk. You know, we're going to announce the winners. They haven't been publicized yet. So you heard it here first. There probably will be a graphic put out really soon. We'll talk about those all-star selections and a couple of guys that got, left out maybe, and we'll go from there. Adam, before we start, unfortunately, your team did not make the playoffs. Ended the season on a good note, on a big win. How was it for you and the Pilots this season? And getting a number 1 pick going into next year, how excited are you for that?
Yeah, it was definitely a disappointing season overall. You never want to miss the playoffs. And definitely some pain points that pointed out was just mainly pitching. I think our offense was there. We kind of missed some timely hits, but I think we had the power at numbers to kind of hang with some teams if we had some better pitching. And it sucked that we had to misspread a couple weeks.
Yeah,
you never want to be playing without your ace, so that hurt a little bit. But it's over with. I'm happy to be a fan for these playoffs and watch and cheer on some of my friends here. So excited to watch that. And yeah, I'm stoked to get a first pick next year and hopefully get a good arm.
Yeah, and we've talked to a couple guys. I know you weren't at the tournament. But there were some live arms. I think there's going to be some really good pitching in this draft. So you're going to be in a great position going forward. The Pilots, I'm looking to see them bounce back in a good way next year for sure.
Yep.
All right, let's get into it. Our first segment. First up is the Ucc Sto Playoff Preview. All right, Adam, the first matchup is probably going to be one of the most exciting games for everyone to watch, when it comes to the trash talk and the rivalry between these two teams. We have the Empire and the Melon Heads. The trash talk has already started 2 weeks ago before the season even ended. What are your kind of thoughts and expectations going into this matchup?
I'm really excited to watch this for those reasons specifically, but I also just thinking about this series, I do not want to be the Melon Heads because the Empire have nothing to lose. I know, speaking from experience, last year when we were the Dingers, we went into the playoffs in a similar situation. We had the worst record, had nothing to lose, and ended up knocking out the Mambas, who were a great team. So I'm not saying the Empire are going to do that. It would take a lot, but you never know. And a team that has nothing to lose is scary, especially when it comes playoff time.
I think you put that perfectly. And I didn't even realize, putting in that perspective of watching you guys last year, because like I said, in the playoffs, anything can happen in a 3-game series.
Exactly.
And the Empire have played a lot of really tough, close games this year. They didn't come away with a lot of them, but if they're in games, it could make for an interesting series. I think the biggest thing, when you look at it on paper, the Melon Heads are definitely favored in this matchup. But the Empire have one guy that could really put them over the edge, and Sam Eikenlaub.
Absolutely.
He's had a phenomenal season on the mound. If he comes out there game 1, he's lights out, and they can squeak a run off of, whoever pitches, either Spencer or Jason. I would assume Spencer's going to start game 1, but you really never know.
Mm-hmm.
But if Sam could just, get, hold him to, 1 or no runs, and they get a good timely hit. I mean, look at the way Mike Flores has been hitting lately.
Yep.
And they put something together. They get a run or two. Then going into to game 2, all the pressure is on the Melon Heads. And
Absolutely.
when you look at it too, when you match up in game 2, it heavily favors the Melon Heads. So then you're most likely going to go to a game 3. But then you got to face Sam again. And can he do it twice? Or can somebody on the Empire step up? You really never know what could happen. And maybe the trash talk gets in their own head. And I'm in like heaven right now watching Nolan Arenado play third base for the Cardinals.
I know.
Holy cow. He's made 2 plays this inning. They're
Yes, he has.
phenomenal. Back to a
I think you're exactly right. I think if Sam is able to throw his best ball and throw his best game 2 out of these 3 games, I think the Melonheads have a tough time. And like you said, if they can just squeak a run or 2 by, it's going to be a great series. If they can pull out game 1, it'll be a really good series.
Yeah, I'm really pulling for this to go 3 games. The fan in me wants the Empire to win because I think it would be hilarious. If I had to put money on it, I'm going to put money on the Melonheads.
Agreed.
What do you think are the keys for the Melonheads in this series? Like, what is their X factor for them?
I think if they just play their game, that they're in a good spot. I think that the Empire lineup is a lineup you just have to attack. And I think in Jason and Spencer, they're the 2 guys that can definitely do that, go right at guys and get their outs, and their bats will handle the other side of it. I think they'll be okay. I think Sam is a tough pitcher to face, and at the same time, they're going to be trying to squib a run off of Spencer or Jason. They're going to have to squib a run off Sam as well. So I think it's possible, but I think that they just, like I said, if their pitching will carry them.
Yeah, I would say, the biggest thing for the Melonheads this whole year has been their hitting. When you look at the full season, but if you look at their last couple games, Spencer Bogad has like turned a new chapter in his pitching and has looked just unbelievable, shutting teams down, developing a couple new pitches, and he's just really almost looked unhittable lately. And then you have Jason last week throw a no-hitter against the Thunderbirds. So they're definitely riding a lot of momentum as well. But I know this Empire team, they are very feisty, and they will scratch and claw all the way until this series is over. And we saw last year, these 2 matched up in the first round of the playoffs last year. Empire took 2 games from the Melonheads. It's going to be interesting. I know the Melonheads want to get 2 backs, even that playoff series up. But it'll be fun to see if the Empire can keep that over their heads with more playoff wins overall.
Definitely.
Adam, who do you have winning this game or this series?
Pretty much same as you. I would love to see Empire win, but like you said, if I was putting money on it, it'd be on the Melonheads. All
right, so now let's just take into account, this is just our predictions, and Adam, we've both been wrong already. We both had the Mambas making the playoffs. We both have had,
which means Empire's probably winning the whole thing.
So exactly. So there we go. This is just speculation. This is fun for us. But let's say that the Melonheads do win that game. They got to go up against the Thunderbirds. What do you think about that matchup going in? You have a fresh Thunderbirds team. If the Empire get 1 game, if it's a 3-game series, the Melonheads got to play 2 games in one night. If it's a sweep, it's a fresh series for the start, so no rest. Or you get a full week of rest. What do you think about the Thunderbirds versus the Melonheads in that round 2 matchup?
I think you're right. It is a fresh Thunderbirds team, but at the same time, they haven't really played a meaningful game in 2 months.
Yeah. I will say Andrew pitched like 1 inning the other night and was like lights out.
That is true.
He looked to be just fine.
Yeah. I think again that they've got 2 of the best pitchers in our league. They're going to be just fine if they can throw they don't have to throw their best game. I mean, their okay games are better than some guys' best games. So I think they're going to be good. But I just think they have to find a way to lock in and, get back into playing some meaningful innings of football.
Yeah. I think that even with the rest, I think this team is very good. They have the lineup top to bottom. They have the pitching. They're one of the most complete teams in the league. We've said it. Ow, I just bit my tongue. We have said it all year long. We've seen it all year long as well. But, the same reasons we said in that first series, you cannot count out the way this Melon Heads team has been playing.
Mm-hmm.
And with the way Spencer's been pitching and Jason as of late, against that Thunderbirds team, anything could happen. And their hitting has been so unreal, top to bottom. This has the potentials to be one of the best series in the playoffs as well. I mean, all these really do. They're such good matchups. But just both lineups, top to bottom, can hit, and both of them can pitch. That's going to be an absolute dogfight to get to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a lot of stakes. There's going to be a lot of trash talk between this series as well. I mean, I know we're already seeing it with the Empire and the Melon Heads, but I think if the Melon Heads get past the Empire, there might not be that rivalry as much as the Empire, but I think we're going to see a lot more like actual trash talk, especially on the field, because Tony loves to dish it right back.
Yep.
And that's just going to fuel Jason and Spencer, and it's going to fuel Tony and Andrew. It's going to be an absolute war on this field if it's these two teams. And I'm excited and I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a rubber match between these teams would be some of the most intense wiffle ball we've seen all year. It would be extraordinary to watch.
Yeah, and that's what all of those guys want. And they want to be in that situation, and they want to come away with the win.
Yeah.
Adam, if you had to pick a winner for the UCC STL side, who do you have going to the championship?
I think it's hard to root against the Thunderbirds. I mean, they've been one of the best teams all season. They were the first team to clinch a playoff spot. They are the 1 seed for a reason, and they've played great wiffle ball all year. So, but at the same time, in that matchup, just like I said in the first round, the Melon Heads would almost have nothing to lose. They're not supposed to beat the Thunderbirds. So again, that would be a scary matchup, but I think I got to go Thunderbirds.
Yeah, I will agree. I think until somebody does beat them, I'm going to pick them.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for anybody to make it through. And like I said, maybe we just gave them the curse because we were wrong all the time. But they're a very, very solid team. And, it's all on them to see if they can either get there or if another team is going to step up and kind of shock the MO-Wiff world.
Absolutely. And to be fair, we did get the UCC STL division right. It was just the Feather Shark division we kind of messed up.
That is true. But that was also had both of our winners.
Yeah, that's true.
But you are right. That is true. All right. Speaking of, Adam, let's move over to the Feather Shark playoff preview. All right. Our first matchup. This is a big one. It is a rematch from the first ever MO-Wiff championship. It is the Mojo versus the Bombers. Adam, this series, we've seen some heated games between our two teams this year. The Mojo won 1, the Bombers won 2. What are your thoughts on this series?
I think this is going to be a really fun series to watch. Like you said, it's a rematch of last year's championship game, which already, is kind of building this almost cinematic experience that I think we're going to get to watch. I think it's going to be another dogfight through and through this game or this series. I mean, I think pitching matches up really well. I think you're both ones. You and Sam are going to go at it in game 1. And then I also think game 2 matches up pretty well too. I assume Nick Bowen pitched game 2 for you, and Josh Richardson would pitch for the Mojo. I think those match up well as well. So I think it's gonna be a great series. I think it probably goes 3 games. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna be fun. I love the pitching matchups in this, and if you've seen the matchups that we've had so far this year, I mean, game 1 of the season. With our two teams was, or it was week 1, not game 1, but it was me versus Sam. Sam hit the home run on the first pitch, and then shut us out, and they won that game. We bounced back late in the season with 2 wins against them, me pitching both games. So they've seen me 3 times, and we've seen Sam twice. The second time we roughed him up a little bit, but you got to know that he's going to be better than that here in the playoffs now that, it's a do or die game. Because at that point, we both kind of knew we were going to make the playoffs, and now it's win or go home. So it's going to be a different Sam that we're facing. And then I'm really interested to see the second matchup. Everyone knows the Sam versus Cam matchup is always fun. But what I'm really excited to see, Nick Bone versus Josh Richardson. Josh pitched very well against us. And they're in that second game we played, I think he only limited to like maybe 3 or 4 runs. But it took us a while to catch on to him. And if he can do that again, that's going to be tough for us to overcome. But one good thing with me pitching 3 games against the Mojo is they haven't seen Nick Bone yet. And I think that could be a key. If Nick can pitch the way that he pitched in the Labor Day tournament, I'm going to be very happy. And that's going to give us a chance to win. And even if he doesn't, I can come around for game 3 if we get there and hopefully, have a good series overall. Cause I think this series it's going to be a coin flip in each game because every pitcher has a chance to shut down the other lineup.
Absolutely.
But I will say the Bombers, the hottest team in the league, in our last 10 games, we're 9-1. No one else has that good of a record in the last 10 games. I think there's 2 teams that were 8-2 to end the season, but Bombers are hot. The bats are hot. Everyone's hitting. Paul hit 4 home runs last week.
He did.
Everyone in our lineup hit a home run last week. Jake wasn't there, but I'm excited to see how this how my Bombers come out because our lineup's been producing time and time again the past couple of weeks. This whole second half of the season, it's been fun to watch.
Absolutely.
All right, Adam, pick a winner.
All right, so I think we've been too similar so far, so I'm going to make a controversial pick.
Love it.
And I think it's hard to root against the reigning MVP, so I think I'm going to go with Sam and the Mojo here.
There you go. It's not a bad pick. Sam can do it, and we saw there. I was watching their game against the Archers last week. On the I was calling the game on the live stream, and every swing that Sam took was like inches away from just like if he connects with it, the ball's going over the fence, and it was like he was right on every one of Jordan's pitches, and he definitely has that X factor to be to put the game on his back and really win the game for the Mojo. He's done that time and time again. I'm biased, it's my podcast, but I'm picking the Bombers.
As you should.
Well, what were we gonna say, Adam?
I was just gonna say Sam's the type of guy who can win a game by himself, and he sure as hell could win a whole series by himself. He's just that type of player.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year. I mean, not only did he do that time and time again last year, but I did it as well last year in one series against them.
Absolutely.
But I also had a lot of help last year with Andrew Nichols.
Not a pitcher.
Not a pitcher. But this year I got Nick Bone, and I've loved the progression that he has made, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the playoffs given this opportunity. He hasn't got to pitch a ton this year as much as I wanted, but he definitely has shown signs that he could be a really good number 2 pitcher in this league, and I'm excited for that opportunity for him.
Yeah, I think the keys to the series for both of you guys is Sam can't let Cam beat him, and Cam can't let Sam beat him. I think that those are the one guy in both lineups that you just can't let beat you. So
yeah, I'm glad you said that because I almost skipped right over the keys like we talked about earlier. But a great call by you. I think that's my mindset going in is if the Mojo are going to beat me, it's going to be anybody but Sam. Right. Which they have. Josh Richardson has homered off me this year. Greg has put up great numbers this year, against everybody. And Bryson has a home run against me. Quentin's put some really good at bats together. So yeah, I mean, but I'll be the first to say that it's, I'll go after Sam, but in my head, that is it. You cannot let Sam beat you. And on the other side, you can't let me beat them. And I think that's definitely the keys. I think the biggest key in mine and Sam's matchup is which pitcher eliminates the most walks. I think absolutely. That is going to be the key. And because you don't want to get in trouble, you don't want to be getting late in the game and letting guys on base, because that's when somebody's going to mess up. Because we're going to be trying to be too careful with some of our guys and trying to get guys out in front of me and Sam. And that's when you can struggle. If somebody does that, I think that's the difference maker.
Absolutely.
All right. So the winner of this series would go on to face the Archers. And Adam, you said the Mojo were going to win. So we'll do both. But let's talk about the Archers versus the Mojo, since that was your pick. What do you see happening in that series? Jordan Smith versus Sam Skibby.
I think I don't see any team personally beating Jordan twice in a series. The way he's thrown this year has been nothing short of dominant, and he is extremely fun to watch throw the wiffle ball. And their bats have been very timely, and especially even Jordan's bat. I mean, Rory's put up some big numbers too, but Jordan's bat has been very clutch. I think it's that he's going to match up against Sam, which, if this is the matchup, and I think games 1 and 3 would be very tough. But again, I don't see not only the Mojo, but I kind of foreshadowing to my championship pick here, but I don't see anybody beating Jordan Smith twice in a series.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. Jordan has been phenomenal, lights out. He's up there for a lot of the award categories in consideration for multiple, and there's a reason for it. It's he's put on a show on the mound this year, similar to what I did last year. And maybe if I wasn't her, I could have been up there with them this year. I still got close. Close. But yeah, like you said, he's been very tough. We saw him give up his first ever home run this year to Mark Vogler on your team. That was awesome.
Yep.
But those are very, very hard to come by. And runs against Jordan are very hard to come by. It's going to be tough. But, like I said earlier, the swings with Sam Skibby, he was very, very close to connecting with any of those, especially on a guy who throws a lot of strikes. Jordan does tend to walk some guys at times, but he's definitely found the strike zone a lot more this year than he did last year.
Yeah.
And if Sam can connect with one of those, hit a big home run, he could be. But again, the Archers, that lineup, like you said, everyone at the beginning of the year thought that they were not going to hit very well, especially, with how Jordan hit last year. And, having a couple of rookies and, they have 3 rookies on that team, correct?
Yes.
Or is it 4? Is it 4? I think it's 4.
Blanking.
Who's the 4th guy? Colin, Brian Hunter, Rory.
Yes. Yep, 4. Yeah, Colin wasn't there last week, so I wasn't thinking him.
Yeah. So, I mean, but like I said, this team, their bats have come alive. Rory he's in the top 5 of hits. But Jordan has.
Oh, no, 3. Brian Kinney's the last guy.
That's who that one is. Brian Kinney.
Both of them were there last week. I couldn't remember either of them.
But yeah, so bam, a great defender on that team as well. So tough matchup there if the Mojo do get there to face the Archers. If that is the matchup, I'm going to pick the Archers because that's going to be very tough. Just to beat not only Jordan, but Rory, pitched last week, only a little bit, but looked a lot better, looked a little bit healthier. And if they got those 1-2 guys going, they're going to be very, very tough to beat in a 3-game series.
Yep, absolutely.
My pick was the Bombers in that first series. So let's talk about a Bombers Archers matchup real quick. how do you think that series would match up if it would come to that? Because we would see arguably the two best pitchers in the league, and myself and Jordan. Numbers speak for themselves. You know, we are 1-2 in every pitching category almost. There's a lot that I have over Jordan, and there's a lot that Jordan has over me. I would, I would say Jordan has been the better pitcher all year long. But I'm very, very hot, and so is he. So we will. I think that will be a very interesting series. What do you think would happen in that matchup?
I think if it does end up being you two, I think game 2 becomes a lot more important because you and Jordan could definitely split 1 and 3. So I think it kind of puts more weight on Rory's shoulder. Well, more specifically his elbow, more weight on his elbow, and how deep he could go into game 2 against Nick Bone. So I do think I see you and Jordan probably, like I said, splitting 1-1 against each other. And then, like I said, game 2 becomes pretty important.
Yeah. And depending on how Rory's feeling, that, that game with him and Nick Bone could be very, very tough. Because if we see Nick Bone pitch the way he's capable of, and if Rory can't pitch up to what he's capable of, that game becomes very interesting. We saw it before. I pitched against Rory, and we won that game, not as convincingly as they beat Nick Bone. That was one game where, Nick got roughed up a little bit on the mound. But I know in his head, if we do get to this point, we get to the series, he's going to want that game, and he's going to want to get back at a team that beat up on him earlier in the season, which could make for a very interesting game if it does come down to that. But I think you are right. It's going to be tough. Having two of the best pitchers on the mound for either games 1 or games 1 and 3. I think that could be very exciting. I hope it's not, 3 games, and I hope the Bombers win in 2, because that is very tough to do, because those are pressure games, and you have to be like almost perfect when you're facing a guy like Jordan.
Yep, absolutely.
But Adam, like you said, you're probably gonna stick with the Archers here, and I'm not picking against my team. I can't do it.
Again, why would you?
I'm biased. I'm a podcast host, but I'm also the Bombers captain, manager, whatever you want to call me. And I'm riding with my team. We've been playing the best wiffle ball of anybody in the second half of the season, and I'm the reigning playoff MVP. And if you watch on YouTube, you can see the trophy behind me. And until we lose that, I'm going to pick us every time. And just like I said with the Thunderbirds on the other side, I'm going to pick them until they lose, until somebody beats us. I'm going to ride with my team until we're dead. But let's jump to the championship game, Adam. Before we get into the matchups, we have 2 different matchups that we'll talk about. And who knows, the Empire could just beat everybody. The Mojo could beat everybody. Who knows?
Yeah.
The Melon Heads could too. But I don't know if you know this, but I know a lot of people, if you don't pay close attention to the graphics, it does say under that championship game, it is going to be a fully produced game or series. So it's not going to be live streamed at all. I'm very excited for this. I've talked with Jason and Josh for the past couple of weeks now. We have been in works to figure out what route we want to take. And I think this has the potential to be our best, and it probably will be our best video yet. Not only game, but like when you take into account like the highlight videos that Jason does. But this could be our best produced game ever. I'm very excited, whether it's I'm playing in this game, but even if I don't, if I get eliminated, I am going to be very excited to work on this game. And, I'm going to help Jason with the production afterwards, but like just recording the video, it's going to be a lot of fun. It is going to take, us a little bit of time, probably, 2 to 3 weeks to get it out. So unless you're there at the field, which anyone is welcome, and we we encourage people to show up and have a fan base for that championship series. But unless you're there, you're not going to know the outcome until it is put out on our YouTube. And I think it's going to be one of the best videos again.
Agreed. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. But let's talk about your matchup first. The Archers versus the Thunderbirds. This has got all the makings for a fireworks series.
Absolutely. This series is one that if it does happen, I am the most excited to watch. I think this is, power versus power pitching. Two great lineups. I think these two teams are so deep. But again, I just cannot pick a team against Jordan Smith 2 games out of 3 in a series. So again, I would be leaning towards the Archers. But with that said, I've managed a playoff series. I've won a playoff series against the Mambas, and I cannot say enough how meaningful it was to have a third pitcher that could throw meaningful innings in the playoffs. So with that said, the Thunderbirds have a great third pitcher in John Willenbrink. So if they are able to pull off a series, I think that is the deciding factor, because I tell you, having that third pitcher and Mark Vogler and myself and Brett, that was huge because of the way the playoff rules work. If you start a game, you can't start back to back. If you throw a certain amount of innings, you cannot throw the next game at all. And that third pitcher is huge. So I'm still giving an ounce towards the Archers, but if the Thunderbirds pull it off, I think that is the deciding factor.
That's a great point. I would say one big thing for this series that you have to think of. This will be, 4 or 5 days after the United Wiffle Ball National World Championship, which Jordan will be going, and most likely making a good run with the Way Too Beautiful team. You have Tony and Rory going on that team as well, who might throw some, probably will throw some, and then Tony going as well. So how are those guys going to do on short rests?
That's a great point.
John Willenbrink now becomes an even bigger factor.
Very true.
And all 3 games are getting played in one night.
Yep. That's even bigger on John. That's a great point.
So the keys to this game for me, if it's Archers versus Thunderbirds, is how well rested is Jordan. Andrew will be fresh.
Yep.
And John. Everyone else pretty much is going to be throwing, the weekend prior. And if Andrew can win game 1 against Jordan, or even, if Tony throws that game, and maybe that's what they do, and the Archers win game 1, I think Jordan can still come back from the tournament, pitch 1 game, win 1 game. He wins game 1. Does Jordan have enough if they lose game 2 to pitch game 3 and win?
That's a great point, because I forgot all 3 games were in one night.
Yes. So not only and they're full 5-inning games. This is not time limit games like the rest of the playoffs. This is all straight up 5-inning games. So that's 10 innings in one night after who knows how much you pitch on the Saturday before.
And sitting game 2 and having to fire back up for game 3.
Exactly. So this could be very tough.
Yep.
But I mean, I could see it going either way because of the circumstances, because of the pitching depth, and honestly, because of the lineup. I would be inclined to say the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, and with the reminder that all 3 games are in one night, I'm actually going to flip my pick, because I think the Thunderbirds are better suited for a one night 3-game series.
Yeah, I think anything could happen. I think this could be it would be a very good series. I hope it goes 3 games, and who knows, Jordan could still go out there and throw 10 innings. Yeah, but it could be tough. True. He could get tired, but the Thunderbirds lineup is tough. They've been the best team all year long. I don't know. It's not going to be out probably by the time you listen to this, if you're listening to this on Wednesday morning. But I know we will have an article posted that, me and you just read, Adam. Sam Skibby wrote an article for the league.
So good.
Yeah, very, very good, in depth, a lot of detail about the strength of schedule and just how the season went. I know we plan to get that out very soon, hopefully before the playoffs, so everyone can see it. I think it'll be really cool. But yeah, I mean, the Thunderbirds did have a kind of easier schedule, but they've proven it with everyone they faced, and it's going to be an absolute dogfight to beat that team.
Mm-hmm.
So I would pick the Thunderbirds in 3 games, but would not be surprised to see Jordan Smith win 2 games, because that's what he's done all year long.
Agreed.
All right, let's flip to my matchup. We have the the Thunderbirds versus the Bombers. Does anything change for you in that regard? Or would you still pick the Thunderbirds? I'm assuming you probably would.
I would. I think you have shown to have more endurance in your arm than Jordan has in your career. I think that you would be better suited to throw games 1 and 3 in one night. But again, I think John Willenbrink being that third pitcher makes a huge difference in no matter who they match up against, especially in a 1 night 3 game series. So yeah, I would still go with the Thunderbirds there. Yeah,
that would definitely be a tough series. One thing I would say that would be really cool about this series is if this is the matchup, if it's Bombers versus the Thunderbirds, no matter what happens, at least 2 members from the first year's championship team would repeat.
That's true.
It would be cool to have every member from the Bombers team that won the championship in year 1 be a part of a championship game in year 2. Dalton and Andrew both on the Thunderbirds, myself, Jake, and Paul all on this year's Bombers team as well. So that could be a real fun matchup and a cool little thing for us to have in our pocket. And if you're watching on YouTube, Dalton got me this awesome picture up here of all 5 of us when we won the championship last year. So pretty cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, like you said, that would be very tough. I'm still going to pick myself just because I have to. And I believe in my team, and that's the mindset we have to have. And like I said, until someone knocks me out of the playoffs, we're going to fight and we're going to claw. And we want to bring this trophy back here. And, maybe I'll pass it around this year, but I like it for the podcast, but get my guys some time with it. But it could be very fun. It's going to be a good series, but like I said, that Thunderbird team is just very tough. If it's anybody besides me, I think that they have the 1-2 arms to do. I think they have the best 1-2 pitching combination in the league right now. And they really have probably the deepest lineup with the caliber of hitters they have. So that would be the team I picked, but I've said that before and I've been wrong before. So who knows?
Yep.
All right, Adam, last up, we have the all-star selections. Adam, let's start with your division. Do you have the list in front of you, or do you want me to read them off?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, this is the UCC STL Division All-Stars. And for everyone who doesn't know, each division is represented by 7 All-Stars. So 7 from each side. These, unlike last year. Last year, it was cold. We had a lot of guys miss. But this year, hopefully we get everyone there, or at least majority of the All-Stars there. And it'll be a 7-on-7 division versus division matchup. It'll be the week after the championship game. So no one has to worry about, playing in a championship game or anything. It's going to be all for fun. There will be a home run derby for anyone who is interested. So even if you're in the league and you just want to come and hang out with us and help, run stuff for the All-Star game, do announcing or anything, just hang out, watch the game, drink some beers with us, participate in the home run derby. Only thing with the home run derby is to enter. It is a minimum $5 donation, and all the money that we raised for the Home Run Derby will be donated to a charity, which last year was to the Catch-22 Miracle Field. I believe it will be the same again this year once we get those details finalized. But it does all go to charity, so we do appreciate anyone who comes and participates. It goes to a great cause. So
yeah, and it's a great time.
Absolutely. It was one of the most fun games we had last year, and I think it's only going to be even better this year. So
agreed.
Adam, UCC STL All-Star selections. Here we go.
All right. So starting us off, we got Brett Spencer from the Pilots, and then we got Tony Cochran and Andrew from the Thunderbirds, and then we got and John Willenbrink also.
Three from the Thunderbirds.
3 from the Thunderbirds, and then Jason and Ryan Brown from the Melon Heads. And then representing the Empire, we have Sam Eichenlob.
Cardinals are getting whacked by
Yes,
the Padres. Sorry.
You're good.
So yeah, 7 very deserving All-Stars there. Let's stick with your division and your All-Stars. Let's talk about a couple of these players real quick. Let's start with the main takeaway from these selections. Out of the 7 members on this team, 3 of them come from one team, the number 1 team in the entire Missouri Wiffle Ball League. Tony Cochran, Andrew Nichols, and John Willenbrink. What a season they have had, and the numbers show. And these guys just really showed out. So very well deserved from these 3. And no team has three guys on the in the All-Star game besides this team right here.
Yep. And I think that just shows even more so how threatening that pitching rotation is going to be in this playoff run. I mean, with all 3 of their pitchers making the All-Star team, and deservedly so, and all 3 of them can hit as well. I think that
they can match.
It just shows how good their team really is.
Yeah, 2, and then we also had 2 from the Melon Heads and Ryan Brown and Jason Worstenholm. These guys hit the cover off the ball this year.
Yes,
I mean, what a season by both of them at the plate. Ryan Brown won the batting title.
Robbing it from his captain.
He took the triple crown away from his captain in the last game of the season.
And was stoked about it.
It was awesome. Really cool to see, though, a rookie win, have the highest average in the league and win that batting title. Really cool for him. But like I said, Jason was a couple points away from average from winning the triple crown. So what a great season he had. Definitely an MVP candidate. And Sam Eichenlob from the Empire, he was the heart and soul of that team when Josh went down. Had picked up some good wins for him, and not only on the mound but at the plate as well. And then Brett Spencer from your team. Brett has been a staple for your team, and has been one of the best players in the league for the past 2 years now. So 7 guys that really just really went and above and beyond and played a hell of a season.
Yeah, I'm stoked for Brett. I know he missed some games, so I'm glad he was able to put together some good games when he was here. Really excited to see him. I couldn't pick a better player to represent us and who the Pilots are in the All-Star game.
Yeah, absolutely. It is cool. I know, for anyone who doesn't know, the 3 captains in each division vote on these 7 All-Stars. We all come to agreements. If there is a disagreement between one player or 2 players or whatever, it comes down to the captain of the All-Star team for that division. So for the UCC STL division, Andrew Nichols is the captain, as they were the number 1 seed for that division. Jordan Smith is the captain for the Feather Shark division. So is there anyone that from your division that you personally think may have been, missed out on or deserved an All-Star spot but didn't make it? Or anyone that just has in consideration as well?
I hated leaving Mark Vogler out of he was definitely in talks. I wish we could have. I think Brett has a certain notoriety that kind of comes with the player that he is. He was a Cy Wiffle candidate last year, MVP candidate last year. I think that kind of brings and carries over into this year a little bit and helps him. Mark's kind of a under the radar type of guy. It put together another great season at the plate. Struggled on the mound a little bit, but I know he's working hard and he was an all-star last year. So I mean, he's a great player, and I wish he could have squeaked in there, but unfortunately he was snubbed a little bit.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. If I'm picking between, because I did a little bit of research as well. I looked up all the numbers between Brett and Mark. I mean, very, very close. Mark did actually have better hitting stats.
Yep.
Besides slugging percentage, they had the same amount of home runs, same amount of RBIs. But other than that, Mark led in almost every hitting category other than Brett. Brett did pitch better than Mark by a good margin. But I think the key is that for Mark, especially going forward, is he had to pitch in a lot of situations where he's going up against a guy's number one pitcher.
Yep.
And he pitched really good in a lot of games that normally he's going to win.
Yep.
If you get him in a situation where Brett is there and Brett gets game 1, Mark gets game 2, Mark's going to get a lot more wins. He had a hell of a season. I love watching him play. And I do agree. I think Mark did get snubbed a little bit. Dang, Poole just got a base hit, not a home run. But, two guys both deserving. But I think, to me, the biggest snub on this side is Spencer Bogad. Had a phenomenal season on the mound, 6-2 on the mound, had a 312 average as well, 8 home runs. So a very good season. It is tough. I do love that you guys got at least one guy from every team. I think that is really cool to have everyone represented. But it is very sad to see that, Spencer Bogad unfortunately did not get that nod, even though he had a season where he definitely deserved it.
Yeah, and he was definitely in talks as well, and it was part of it was getting every team represented. That was definitely talked about.
Yeah.
And credit to Andrew Nichols, his humble self even put Spencer above and cut himself out of his 7. So
wow,
credit to him there.
All right, look at this guy.
Yeah, good guy.
I'll have to give him some trouble. But that's really awesome for him to do.
Yes.
It shows you exactly why we chose him as the captain of that Thunderbirds team, and he's done a great job.
Absolutely.
A couple other names that I want to mention, didn't get all-star selections, and I just wanted to give them notice because I know they had really good seasons. Well, Jimmy Stout had a great season at the plate. He hit 385. That's very tough to do, and he just really in his rookie year showed out. Blake Spencer also hit really good. Hit 326. And was a staple in that Thunderbirds lineup. They had 3 all-stars, and you have a guy hitting on that team, not one of the 3 all-stars, hitting 326.
Yeah,
that's why I picked them to be in that championship game. And another guy didn't really have the full stats, but Mike Flores had a phenomenal second half of the season. We saw him get on the mound a couple of times, and he did well, got better each time. But at the plate, one of the most improved hitters. He's very similar to your season last year, where he struggled in the beginning. But man, watching him the second half of the season just hit the ball, and he was hitting everybody and just had really good swings. Really fun to watch Mike Flores. Just signed a 2-year extension with the Empire, and I think that's a very smart move by Josh.
Yeah, that's a great pick there.
So just wanted to give those guys a shout out, even though they didn't make the All-Star team, but they had very great seasons. Let's switch over to the Feather Shark All-Stars. So from the Bombers, we have myself and Logan Trotter.
Yes, sir.
He had a hell of a second half. And he had some big hits in the first half as well. Walk-off home run, and just had a great season. Sam Skibby from the Mojo. Only one from the Mojo. from the Mambas, we had Cole Layton and Ryan O'Rear. And then from the Archers, Jordan Smith and Roy Rank. So before I move on, before I forget, I want to say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 rookies that are all-stars.
That's awesome.
6 out of the 14. Very impressive. That just shows you how deep this rookie class is and how good of hands MO-Wiff is in the future.
Yeah, and we've preached that since episode 1 about how good this rookie class was, and
yeah, absolutely.
That definitely shows it right there.
All right, Adam, anyone from that list of 7 that I read off, I believe that might be the first time you've heard that list. Anyone on there shock you? And is there anyone that you feel was left out of that Feather Shark All-Star selections?
I wouldn't say, well, yeah, I wouldn't say shocked, but excited to hear Logan Trotter's name. He's kind of another similar to Mark Vogler, under the radar type of guy. But if you look at the numbers, put together a great season. And like you said, had the big moments too at the walk-off. And if you paid attention and didn't just, kind of glaze over the season, he had a great year. So that's definitely what I'm excited to see. Let me dig and see if I can find a snub. If you want. So
I'll tell you who the big snub was, because this last pick, it was tough. It came down to 3 guys at the end. Mm-hmm. We had our list. We had 6 that were locked going into the final week, and then in that final week, we were like, it's really between 3 guys. It's Josh Richardson, who was on the bottom of that list looking up, and then it was Logan, who is actually probably second, and then Greg Thornton was actually at the top. And for, I would say, probably the last 2 months, in my head, Greg was an all-star, and it really, really hurt me, and it sucked that I couldn't put him on, or that we couldn't put him on this team, because he 100% deserved to be on this roster. He was, I think, top 3 or top 5 in RBI,
3,
up there in home runs. Had a phenomenal season, but when you look at the average and all the other stats, Logan's just all added up to be better. Logan was, I think, only 4 RBI behind Greg, only a couple of home runs behind him as well. Yep. So it was very close, but the average, I think, was like almost 200 points better. He put it all together. And like you said, he, as well as Greg, they both had the timely hits. They had big home runs late in games. It killed me to leave him off because he 100% did deserve it. But Logan also did. And I didn't even realize until probably it was Cole that said something. He was like, because we were talking about it, and I thought Greg was going to be a lock, and he's like, dude, Logan's having a sneaky season. I went home, I looked at the stats, and I'm like, holy cow, he really has just turned it on the past month. Yeah. And it really it got him that all-star bid, and it came down to that last week, and Logan had, a home run in that last game, and I think 3 or 4 hits. Like, it was big.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great year. Once you started talking, I definitely started leaning towards, I think my big snub would definitely be Greg. And like you said, it just sucks that we couldn't fit him on that roster, but it would have been such a cool story. But nothing against Greg, and what a great season he put together. Yeah. And we're so excited to have him in the league and producing. That is so cool.
Just signed a new deal as well. Well deserved. Yep. Mm-hmm. A lot of deals that just got done too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anyone else that you have seen that might have been missed out, or that you just thought had a good season from that Feather Shark division that should be recognized?
Let's see. Like you said, Josh Richardson was kind of that third guy. He had a great year, another rookie.
Yeah.
Those are probably the 2 guys that I would point out.
Yeah, I would say, for a while, kind of tailed off at the end, but there was a point in the season that, and even in the second half of the season, that Alex Eggert was getting some focus, hit the ball very well for his first season. So wanted to mention him because, like I said, he showed out. Like we said, Josh, Nick Bone had a good season. You know, not the flashiest of numbers, but there was times where, like, man, he would get hot during the game and you couldn't get him out. And then there's times on the mound where you couldn't get a hit off of him. I think he's a guy that could definitely be an all-star in the future. And then one guy I want to mention who had a phenomenal season. I could, on my team, I could rely on him time and time again. And especially by the end of the season, Paul Pugh had a sneaky good season. If you sort by division and you look at these stats, he's up there. The guy was on base a lot. He was on base all the time. He actually had more hits and more RBI than Sam Skibby. Now it did get inflated in that last game with 4 home runs, but I'd say 2 of those home runs were not cheap. He also got one robbed in that game. Should have had 5. But nonetheless, when you have more hits and more RBI than Sam Skibby, that's impressive. And there was a lot of times that Paul was getting game-winning RBIs in key situations. And I just wanted to tip my hat to Paul. He had a phenomenal season, and I couldn't have been happier watching him play this whole season.
Yeah, I was so glad that he came back, and you could tell he has a great time playing, and to put up a great year like that is really cool.
Yeah, he's one of the most fun guys in the league. I love having him on my team and just having him there every week, and he's been a lot of fun. So definitely glad that he is there. So, and like I said, but earlier when we started, if you want to come and hang out at the All-Star game, please do. It's a lot of fun, and we just have a blast, and we get to do a lot of cool things. I think this year will be a little bit more competitive than it was last year, which I'm hoping, because I think that would make for a better game, but I think it would still be very fun. And I think definitely if we walk somebody, it's got to be a mandatory 55 and under. There's no double walks. But stuff like that, it's fun. And the home run derby is a great time. 1 minute round, hit as many home runs as you can. So it'll be a lot of fun. Please come out and just hang out with us. It's our last event of the year until we go into the off season. So send it off in a good way. Yep. Adam, anything else about the All-Star game or the playoffs that we haven't mentioned?
Nope. Just like I said, excited to, it sucks missing the playoffs, but excited to be a fan and excited to take in what's going to be a great playoff run.
Absolutely. You're going to still be a key in all of this going forward, and, help with, production a little bit, because I know if I'm not playing, that's what I'm going to be doing. One more thing before we go, though, I do want to talk about what we have coming up next for the 3 Up 3 Down podcast. I'm not really sure what we're going to do just yet. My plan still is to do just, 1 3-segment episode, where maybe we do like a segment 1 playoff recap, and then segment 2 do a championship preview, give everyone like a little preview before the championship, something you can listen to before that comes out. That's my main goal. I definitely want to have that championship preview and, kind of recap of the playoffs. And then maybe we can record that. And then after the All-Star game, we can do like an All-Star game recap for that 3rd segment as well. Kind of fun segment to end that on. And then we'll definitely, going forward, we'll have a full-on championship episode. So be a lot of fun. And, maybe I think we can definitely get the whoever the champions are, we'll get them on here, and we'll have a good time in the Zoom and for everybody to see. So a bunch of good episodes that will be coming forward in the near future. There's a lot of big things happening with MO-Wiff. We also, maybe we'll have to do just one, or maybe we could just do like a U-Wiff
I was gonna say we need a UF something too.
podcast as well. So there's just a lot that we have going on. And I'm very excited for it. So, maybe we'll cut it up and we'll do some off topic, like just one segment of the podcast here and there. So maybe we'll get some more episodes in that way instead of just doing a 3-segment episode. It'll be a little shorter and could be a little bit more fun to listen to. So let us know what you think. If you want it all in one episode or you want it all cut up in separate episodes. So could be fun either way.
Yep.
Adam, anything else before we go?
Nope. I'm happy to finally get another episode, and I've missed this, and happy to be back.
Absolutely. I'm glad you were here with me. Make sure you guys tune in every Thursday for our playoff matchups, and then tune in for that championship game that is to be determined when it'll be posted. But we want to thank you guys for listening to the MO-Wiff 3 Up, 3 Down podcast. I'm Cam Smith. That's Adam North. We will see you guys next time.
Peace.
My mouse is off.